Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. So what I want to do today is go over a few things I see almost daily that sometimes can cause small issues with your crossbow, other times can cause catastrophic failure. And what I want to do with this video is hopefully keep you out of my shop and in the woods. Now if you've been shooting a crossbow for a while, a lot of this may seem elementary to you. But if you're brand new to the crossbow world, stick around because I assure you there's going to be things you're going to see today that will help you down the road. Number one, the most common mistake I see is people loading the crossbow wrong. Now a couple of different things can happen based on the crossbow you have if you load it incorrectly. Now this is a Sub 1 XR Mission by Matthews. It's pretty straightforward how you load it. As you see, you've got a bolt that has, or an arrow if you prefer, I don't care. You have 3 vanes. 2 are one color, 1 odd one. The odd vane, 99% of the time on these crossbows, is going to go down. As you can see, there's a little track right there. So that vane is going to go down into the track. And many crossbows today have a proprietary nock that you have to match. So this is the Mission nock. It's actually made of aluminum. And then Raven has its proprietary nock that actually clicks onto the string, just like your arrow would click on your bowstring. And then the craziest one is the Excalibur that's flat, which I still don't understand why somebody designed it that way, but that's what they did. Not only is each nock different, but they're different sizes. Raven is a 20-inch bolt. This Mission is a 19-inch bolt. And then the Excalibur, 16.5. So loading your crossbow properly is imperative, because if you put the wrong bolt in the wrong crossbow, you're gonna have problems. Now number 2 is the actual loading of the bolt. How do I get the bolt in here? Before you start loading your crossbow, I want you to notice, look where your string starts, because that's where it's gonna finish. Now, as I load this bolt, again, odd feather down into the track, and notice where I wanna keep my hand, above the line where those axles are, because that's where the string is going to come back to. As I'm loading the bolt, if something were to happen right now, where this thing is, it's going to hit me in the face, but still. Now before I go on, this is not where I'm going to put the crossbow to load it. I'm just putting it here so you can see. But what I want to focus on right now is where the axles are in relation to my hand. My hand needs to stay out in front of those axles, because if this thing goes off right now as I'm loading it, yeah, it's going to scare the crap out of me. And where this bolt is pointed, there's no telling where it's going to come down. So let's just hope it doesn't happen. But if it did, chances are I'm going to have it down here and I'm going to be pointing this in a safe direction. If my fingers are here as I'm loading the crossbow and something were to happen, that string is going to find where it was before. The tips of my fingers are going to be gone, along with probably some other catastrophic issues that are going to happen. But in the real world, I've got my crossbow here and I'm loading the bolt. Keep your hand above where the axles are. That's going to keep you safe just in case something bad were to happen. Now, as I talk to different companies on the phone and I'm getting parts and things for these crossbows, one of the main issues they say is when they have crossbows come into them, or when we call them about what issues are, they're going to claim probably 75% of the time the reason the crossbow blew up was because the nock was not seated correctly. This little piece right here, pretty much every crossbow has it. This is an awesome design that the Mission one has. Different crossbow companies do different things they've gone through. 10 Point has a little metal piece that holds it down. Barnett will put a little brush on there. I think 10 Point does a lot of brushes now too. Either way, that's called the bolt retention spring. That's going to hold that down and keep it from sliding forward if I were to be shooting down. This is not engaged properly. That bolt is going to slide forward. Most of these companies claim when your crossbow blew up, it's because you aimed it down and the bolt slid away from the string. If that happens and your nock is not engaged with the string, as it fires, that string is basically going to hop over that bolt and you dry fired your crossbow. Only bad things can happen then. Believe it or not, I have plenty of people ask me, why is dry firing a bow or crossbow bad? Let me explain it to you. When I cock this crossbow or when I draw my bow, the limbs and the cables is where all the power is being stored. Now, when I shoot this crossbow, all that power is transferred into the bolt. In a bow, it's all transferred into the arrow. Remove the arrow, remove the bolt, where's all that power going to go? Back into the crossbow, back into the bow. So you have 3 things. You have your limbs, you have your cams, and you have your strings. At least 1, probably 2 of those things are going to be damaged. Now you got to bring it to me, It's got to sit in my shop for 2 or 3 weeks. No crossbow for you. So always make sure that bolt is seated against that string. What I see a lot of times is when people bring me older crossbows, that retention spring is damaged, or many times it's just completely gone. I can't tell you how many times I've had people bring in crossbows that somebody just gave them, or they got at a pawn shop for 50 bucks that doesn't have that spring. Do not shoot that crossbow without a retention spring, because if you lean it forward, that bolt's going to slide away from the string and you are going to dry fire that crossbow. Next, let's address the cranks. A lot of new crossbows come with a cocking option that is a crank where you can cock it and decock the crossbow. With a Raven, you have an internal crank. Pretty much any of these with an internal crank, if something goes bad with it, you're just gonna have to send it back to them. They don't want us in there foostering around with the triggers and the cranks. One of the things we see, especially with 10-point crossbows, is over cranking the crossbow. Now this Raven, you see that it's cocked. I can crank it till the cows come home. Nothing bad is going to happen. That's just the way it's designed. But say a crank like this Excalibur, as I'm cranking the crossbow, if you're watching this right now and thinking, what's he doing? He's got it on his leg. Don't do that. This is for demonstration purposes only. You are correct. Thank you for your concern. As you cock this one, when it comes back, you have to pay real close attention to when it gets all the way back. And as it comes back, you're gonna hear a very distinct click. And once you hear that click, stop. Now with the Excaliburs and the 10 points the same, there is a break on this internal part. I stop and I have to wind this back. Now with the Excalibur, I'm gonna take 3 turns out, and now I've taken the break off, which will allow me to cock it again after I shoot this. All right, next up, not lubing your rail and waxing your string. Is that dangerous to not do that? Not necessarily, but you're going to cut down the life of your strings tremendously if you don't regularly put lube on the rail. How often should you do that? As often as you need to. I tell people about every 20 shots or so. I've seen people say don't put it on but every 50 shots. I think that's crazy. Now, there are some models of 10-point, of course the Ravens as well, that don't have a rail. All you have is a rest and a little hole, and that bolt floats. That's one of the things that helps make it so accurate at long distances, is there's no rail. That rail affects the bolt, it affects the string, and it affects the cam. So you want to make sure that you regularly are using that. What we like to recommend is rail snot, and for the strings we use string snot. And there's a proper way to apply both. Let me show you right quick. So with the rail lube, just a dot and a dot. Take your finger, run it up all the way back to the trigger. All the way back to the trigger. That's all you got to do. Every 20 or 25 shots or so, and you're good. Now with the string wax, open it up, and it looks like chapstick. It's just going to go on the string. Don't put it on the serving. Certainly don't put it on the serving next to the rail. All that's going to do is cause friction, which is the opposite of what I want the rail lube to do. So the string snot, going to go on the string. Now, don't just leave it there. Take your finger, pinch it together, and kind of burnish it. What that's going to do is allow that string wax to kind of melt into the string. Otherwise, it's just sitting on top doing nothing. No need to wax the serving, only the open string. That's all you need to wax. And let me show you what happens when you don't apply rail lube and string wax. I'm going to show you the worst one I've ever seen that wasn't exploded. Check out that. Completely unraveled. And that's going to bring me to my next point. Don't shoot your crossbow when the strings look like this. So what are we looking at when we're looking for damage on our strings? Number one is the center serving. When that center, if you have not been lubing your rail, you can kind of twist it and see underneath it, and it'll be flat. Eventually, that is going to cut that serving. The serving is there to protect the string. When the serving is gone, the string is unprotected. What's going to break next? The string. That's what you call serving separation right there. And over here. Notice how there's no twists in either one of these yoke cables. There should be 1 twist on the top and 4 on the bottom. That means that thing has stretched beyond belief and stretched all the twists out of it. So when I say a bad string, that's what I'm talking about. Serving separation in the cable. That's by far the worst one I've seen that it wasn't blown to pieces. Watch for those things, the loop ends Look for serving separation on your string, and certainly the easiest to spot is going to be that center serve when it begins to get damaged. I do want to mention another thing too that will damage your crossbow is decocking it improperly, especially this one, the Raven. The reason the Raven is a little more tricky when you're decocking it is there's no break. The Excalibur, the 10-point, those have a braking system, and with the Raven crossbow, I've got several videos on how to operate the cocking and decocking mechanisms on them. And I tell you, one of the quickest ways to ruin your hunt, ruin your crossbow, or ruin you is to let this thing get away from you while you're trying to decock it. All these basic Ravens are going to work the same. The R18, the 500, and the 470 are a little bit different. Protect your crossbow and protect yourself. And I know you may be looking at me going, hey, I left mine cocked for a week and it was okay. I've seen that too. I had a guy call me the other day saying he needed new limbs for his crossbow because his friend left his crossbow cocked for a year. Hard for me to believe that, but it happens. Am I going to shoot that crossbow? No way. So bottom line, be careful decocking it, but if you don't understand how to decock it, shoot it, because you cannot leave it cocked overnight. All right, next, another big issue I see is people losing track of their surroundings. When you're looking at purchasing, say, a Mission Sub 1 and you're looking at axle to axle length, that's not all you have to consider. Consider where the cams come to. From outside cam to outside cam is about 17 inches. And then after it's cocked, it's more like 13.5. What happens a lot of times, especially if you've gun hunted your whole life, you forget that this is gonna move. It's gonna expand. Now, most of the newer crossbows are gonna be a lot more narrow, and they focus a lot more on how far that the cam is going to turn. Used to, you've got older crossbows, some of them 25 inches wide, and that limb comes way down inside, and you lose track of how far that limb's going to come out. And you're sitting in a shooting house, you're walking through the woods, and you lean up against a tree, and you forget that when you shoot, that thing's coming out. You prop that up in the window of your shooting house, and that thing comes out and hits the side of the rail. You're gonna damage your shooting house, you're gonna damage your crossbow for sure, and you're gonna miss your target. I had a guy that was sighting in his Raven and had it sitting up on a bench and had a Coke bottle that got too close to the cam. You'd think, as powerful as this is, it would just shatter that Coke bottle. Oh no, it shattered the Coke bottle for sure. Completely destroyed the cam, messed up the timing, so it caused that cam to hit later than the other one, so it exploded the cables. If that happens on your Raven, chances are there's some micro fractures in those limbs. So just because of a Coke bottle, we had to change limbs, cams, and strings. Especially with the Raven, most of us keep strings in the shop. We don't keep cams and limbs laying around. So now guess what? You're waiting for Raven, you're waiting for Mission, you're waiting for 10-point to ship you the parts so we can get it fixed. Always be aware of your surroundings and how far those limbs are going to come out after you shoot. Next up, this one's not so much about crossbow damage, but you damage. It's not as big an issue as it used to be years ago. Now that there's been enough lawsuits, crossbow companies have put these big flanges on the side and made these handles extra thick, so when you grab them, your hand stays underneath the rail. Let me give you a scenario. You're a gun guy. You've hunted with a gun your entire life. You're sitting at a tree stand, you're kind of half asleep. All of a sudden you look up, and there's your target animal coming towards you. You slowly raise your crossbow to fire. You wrap your hand around the rail like you do your gun. You just shot your thumb off. Now, if you know people that have been shooting a crossbow a while, you're gonna see a lot of them missing part of a thumb. The issue's been resolved by most crossbow companies. They'll put big wings on here and make that real chunky. But the best thing to do, just again, practice with your crossbow enough that you know what to do. I used to teach people all the time, just don't grab anything. Just keep your hand open. As you're shooting your crossbow, just prop it up on an open hand, and you never have to worry about that. But most modern crossbows are gonna have enough beef in that handle to keep your hands off of it. A lot of what we're talking about today is for people that didn't go to a shop and buy a brand new modern crossbow with all the bells and whistles on it. You got it at a pawn shop for 50 bucks, and it may be 15 years old. And you think, well, crossbow's just like a gun. I just cock it and shoot it. No. No, 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 no. Familiarize yourself with your crossbow. Know where to hold, know where not to hold. All right, not as big a deal, but I do want to mention this. This can be an issue as well. If you look and see, these look the same. They are not. Years ago, the only difference between crossbow broadheads and regular broadheads was the crossbow broadhead said crossbow on it. They were exactly the same. But now you've got crossbows that are shooting 500 feet per second or better. So if you shoot a normal broadhead that opens with the kinetic energy of an arrow hitting a target, and shoot that out of a 500 foot per second crossbow, it's going to open the second it comes out. There are some new broadheads coming out. They're fairly expensive, like the Beast broadhead that you can shoot out of a bow or a crossbow that opens on impact with just, I mean, a mere couple of pounds of pressure. But again, those are really expensive. Well, why not just shoot a fixed blade broadhead? One of the issues with shooting a fixed blade broadhead out of a crossbow is when you start shooting over 350 feet per second, it's difficult to get a crossbow to fly true with a fixed blade broadhead on there at those speeds. Now, I've found them. You may not get lucky in the first fixed blade broadhead you try to shoot out of your Raven at 500 feet per second flies good. Well, I got to try another one. I got to try another one. Well, next thing you know, you're $200 in on broadheads before you find one that'll fly true. So most people with their crossbows are just going to shoot a mechanical broadhead. With a fixed blade broadhead, there's a whole nother bunch of mess you got to go through. You got to shoot it into a target. You got to have that kind of target. They may not fly exactly like your field point. You've got a whole nother mess going on. So most people just shoot a mechanical broadhead. Does that mean you can't shoot a fixed blade broadhead? Absolutely not. Check out this video here I did on the Tulu broadhead, which is a single bevel, made in the USA broadhead, works amazing. Just make sure that if you're shooting a mechanical broadhead, that it is designed for crossbow use. All right, and speaking of broadheads, last thing, do not put this quiver with broadhead laced arrows in your case with your crossbow to bounce around while you travel. You think not lubing your rail is bad for your string? Let that hop around in your case for a little bit, whack your string, and I'd be willing to bet I'm talking to 90% of you guys out there. I've seen it happen way too many times. Please, I'm begging you. There are cases that you can put these broadheads in. I don't let it float around in my bow case either. My quiver rides shotgun. It's nowhere near my bow. This is not going to be anywhere near my crossbow while I'm traveling. Think about it this way. So why'd you take so much time to figure out which broadhead to use? Because you wanted the one that did the most damage. Don't let your crossbow be the thing that it damages. Keep this thing in a separate place away from your crossbow. Crossbow strings and broadheads do not work and play well together. I know what you're saying. I've done it for years. It's never happened to me. It's gonna. Please listen. I'll put links in the description below for all the different things we use today. If you click on any of those links below, we may get a small commission, and we do appreciate that. That's going to help us out as well. I hope this video helped you today. If you've got a friend that has a crossbow, maybe share it with them. The main goal for today is to keep you out of the shop and in the woods. I want you to come to the shop and show me pictures of your trophies. The last thing I want is for you to come in and show me something that kept you out of the woods. So thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next one. So y'all get outside and get wild. Take care and God bless.